Good afternoon and welcome to Andersen Sports Live. I'm Grace Harmon.
And I'm Claire Magsman. The Winter Olympics are 1 week underway in Pyeongchang, South Korea, and 18-year-old Nathan Chen is making history. The figure skater placed 17th after a disappointing first round, but redeemed himself by being the first man to land 6 quad jumps in his free skate the next day. The performance landed Chen a score of 215.08, which was his personal best and the highest score on Saturday. He finished in 5th place with a score of 297.35.
While some U.S. athletes have missed the podium in this year's Olympic Games, others have found their way to the top of it. Snowboarder Shaun White earned his 3rd ever gold medal in Pyeongchang on Wednesday. After a fall in his second run, White had a score to beat on his final run in order to make history with the most gold medals won by a snowboarder. And he did it. White completed what some are calling an epic final run to top his competitors and walk away with the gold medal. You could see him finishing his run here, and he won his 3rd ever gold medal. You can see him celebrating there with his medal. But despite the American bringing home one of the United States' few gold medals, the 31-year-old half-pipe competitor is still facing criticism over his response to sexual assault allegations. During a news conference after winning his gold medal, White referred to allegations against him by a former band member as gossip. White has since received backlash and has issued an apology, saying that he used a poor choice of words and that he is truly sorry.
The United States has fallen behind in the medal count now halfway through the 2-week Olympic competition. The U.S. has won only 10 total medals, 5 of those being gold, to currently hold 6th place. Norway continues to hold the top spot with 28 total medals, while Germany holds 2nd place with 20 medals. Canada rounds out the top 3 with 17 total medals.
Well, this year, hundreds of athletes are representing their countries at the Olympic Games, but 34 years ago for Phil and Steve Meyer, it was the same way. For more on this day in sports history, here's Andersen Live's Gabriel Vegas.
Welcome to This Day in Sports History. I'm your host, Gabriel Vegas. And on February 19, 1984, American skiers Phil and Steve Meyer became the first brothers in Olympic history to win a gold and silver medals in the same event. That happened in this men's slalom race in the Winter Games in Sarajevo, Bosnia, and it came down to the last run.
Disappointed there, but he is in great position. Quickly, he grabs the walkie-talkie. He's going to talk to Steve Mayer, who will have one race. Running time to beat to take the lead from his brother Phil on the left. Oh, what a run! They are unbelievable. And a great recovery up at the top. Bob got it back on it. Phil Mayer's in first place, and Steve Mayer is 4 minutes.
The twins were stars in skiing back then, with the older brother Phil being a Hall of Famer and the younger brother Steve earning several national titles, but neither of them were having a good season so far. Still, Phil earned the gold medal and Steve earned the silver medal. But both put America in the history of Olympic Games, and that happened today, 34 years ago.
Snow falls in Pyeongchang. Back in the States, the dust has settled from the 2018 Daytona 500.
When we come back, we'll have that and more in today's edition of Andersen Sports Live.
The historic Haymarket, a beautiful place just west of downtown Lincoln, home of the exciting Pinnacle Bank Arena and a rich history. The Haymarket's history starts shortly after Lincoln's founding, when Lincoln was a busy hub for trains filled with traders and merchants. But now, Lincoln has a new rail yard that's filled with people looking for food, drinks, or fun. The Haymarket is loaded with restaurants and fun for everyone. What are you waiting for? Go visit lincolnhaymarket.org/events to find out what's happening today.
East Campus is for students who want an education outside of the classroom. We have art, agriculture, fashion, food science, law, dentistry, and a lot of trees, all of which are housed just on the corner of 33rd and Holdridge. Grab an ice cream cone at our dairy store or take a stroll through our gardens while you're here. Want to make it legit? Visit us at casnr.unl.edu to reserve a tour soon.
A lot of high school students would ask, why should I go to UNL? Well, why did Johnny Carson of The Tonight Show fame go to UNL? Why did multi-billionaire businessman Warren Buffett go to UNL? Why did people of such great fame and success go to UNL? Simple, because these are people that wanted to be successful. At the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, you too can begin your own success story. After all, if people like this can achieve national recognition and who came from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, then so can you.
Welcome back to Andersen Sports Live. In the 60th Daytona 500, Austin Dillon drove a three-car to victory exactly 17 years to the day after Dale Earnhardt died in turn 4 on the final lap. Dillon kept a low profile for a majority of the race, only leading the pack during the last lap. Darrell Wallace Jr. finished second, followed by Denny Hamlin in the third. Ryan Blaney led the most laps with 114, but was involved in a wreck with 2 laps to go, finishing 7th. Danica Patrick, in her last NASCAR race, was involved in an accident and finished in 35th place. There you can see how close that finish was.
Out on the West Coast, the Genesis Open was played on the sunny fairways of the Riviera Country Club in Los Angeles for the 89th year. To say a win for Bubba Watson is a shock is a bit of an understatement, as the golfer has been a shell of his former self for the past 18 months, with an undisclosed illness leaving him tired and weak. Despite his recent struggles, Watson put together a winning effort, finishing 12 under par and snagging his 3rd Genesis Open title. He joins all-time greats Ben Hogan and Arnold Palmer as the only 3-time winners at the Open. When asked for his reaction to joining the 2 golfing legends, Watson said, "I'm the first and only Bubba Watson."
If you pull out of the parking lot of the Riviera Country Club and head east on I-10 for about 30 minutes, you'll find that the arena that serves as a home court to both the Lakers and the Clippers for the duration of the NBA season. This year, the NBA decided to hold its annual mid-season party in the form of All-Star Weekend at the Staples Center in LA.
To break down the festivities, we'll send it to the roundtable with Silas Brown and the gang.
Welcome to the roundtable. Joining me today, Miss Eileen Snow and Mr. Kobe Becker. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Great. NBA All-Star Weekend. What a weekend we just had.
Yeah, man.
You got Donovan Mitchell winning the dunk contest, Devin Booker winning the three-point contest, Spencer Dinwiddie winning the skill challenge, and Team LeBron taking home the medal in the All-Star game.
Yep.
What a great game we just had, right?
Good,
It was
yeah.
great. What stood out to you guys the most from this All-Star game? Allie, I'm going to start with you.
So I love the format of this year's game. I thought it was exciting, competitive. I felt like the players had a lot of fun, and they actually played defense. I mean,
Finally.
Yeah, finally. You look at last year, the West almost put up 200 points.
Yeah,
right.
It completely changed from this year. I thought the matchups were great, seeing KD, Westbrook back together, Kyrie and LeBron. I mean, I think the fans were hoping for a little more drama between that, but overall, I mean, you saw nothing but smiles from both the players. So overall, it was exciting. It was a great matchup. So
It was a great matchup.
It was.
Kobe, how about you?
I mean, I like the three-point contest and the dunk contest both. You know, those young guys repping. Devin Booker in the three-point contest put up 28, saved a snooze fest of a three-point contest the way it started with Paul George 9 points,
absolutely,
and nobody topped 20 in the first round. And then he just went off for 28, set a new record in that. And then, I mean, the dunk contest, it was a lot of fun. You know, Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon set the standard the last couple of years, making it fun again after it had been not a lot of people liked it in the years before. And then Mitchell started off right away with the second hoop, the backboard of that one to dunk. And then there was the Larry Nance tribute to his dad. And
yeah, and he pulled out the jersey and everything.
yeah,
so I
yeah.
thought
Great
And then
tribute.
there was the Donovan Mitchell putting on the Vince Carter jersey, and he jumped over people. And then Dennis Smith Jr. had one of the best dunks I've seen with a
Wild.
180 in midair between the legs behind him dunking, basically. But it was a lot of fun.
It was.
great.
The only critique I have for next year in the dunk contest is having more players in the dunk contest.
Yeah.
There's only
for
4 of
sure.
them. It
And
felt like it
expanding the
went by
round
real
so we
fast.
can get out. You can get the most out of their dunks. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like these players have more dunks that they had prepared, but they didn't have the chance to
Yeah,
to
they only had
perform
to
it
do
because they
4.
were out. Exactly.
Yeah.
And did you guys see Fergie's national anthem
Oh,
yesterday?
I don't want to even talk
Yeah,
about
that was
that.
bad.
Yeah, it was. You should have seen the facial expression
Right.
in some of the players.
Yeah, they had to cut
They
away
were
from
like,
it.
"What is going on?" All right, guys. As the second half approaches, I think James Harden's the front runner for MVP. Do you guys agree, or is there anyone else?
Hey, I like Harden. I don't know. I mean, I'm all about Harden. 31.5 points a game, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, 45% from the field, 38% from 3. He had a 60-point triple-double, the first one in NBA history. And, I mean, he's at the Rockets' points scored in a game record in that with 60. And they're 44-13 right now. They've won 10 straight games. They have the best record in the league over the Warriors, the vaunted Warriors, that everybody's so scared of, who's going to run away with the league. And then all of a sudden now, heading in the All-Star break, the Rockets have the best record. When Chris Paul and James Harden are healthy and play together, they're a tough team. So Harden's my pick.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to go and disagree. LeBron James, the king, 33 years old, and he is out here averaging 26.5 points per game. I mean, you look at Kobe Bryant, he was a scorer. You look at John Stockton, a passer, and Scottie Pippen, a defender. And then you look at LeBron James, the total package. He can do it all. He's a forward, a guard, wherever you need him. So I think overall, LeBron James has got this in the bag, just an overall outstanding player.
Well, Westbrook for Allie, James Harden for me. I'm gonna go with Westbrook, just because his team hasn't been performing like they should. But without him, they're not even contention in the standings in the
Yep,
West.
that's true.
All right, the NBA season starts back up on the 26th. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Silas. That was a great breakdown from you guys. Well, it was definitely an interesting game last night.
Interesting to say the least, trust me.
I mean, I personally thought Fergie's rendition of the Star Spangled Banner was probably the most interesting part.
I mean, the intent was there, and she tried. It was like a nice mix with jazz and pop, but she just didn't execute it properly.
That's pretty lenient. I thought it was an absolute train wreck. You could see like Draymond Green's face. He was cracking up, and that's how I felt too. So
Yeah, I mean, there's always next year.
she can maybe try again if they invite her back, but I guess we'll have to see.
Wait and
Well,
see.
it's time for a break, but when we come back, we'll have the new AP Top 10 for men's and women's college basketball coming your way. Stay with us.
It's your first stop on campus. It's your helping hand. It's a place to study, a place to eat, and a place to plan. The NCARD office, career services, student affairs center, a multicultural center, food, and even Greek affairs.
Wait, did you mention food?
Yes, but we have a lot of other stuff too. Come check it out at the Union.
It's our union.
This is the nation's biggest multicultural center attached to a union. There's space to interact, study, and create. We're home to dozens of cultures, majors, and interests. We are home to all underrepresented students. And here, there's always room for you. Located on the east side of the UNL City Campus Union, find your home away from home. Find us at the Jackie Gunn Multicultural Center.
At the Outdoor Adventure Center, you'll find activities for everyone. From canoeing, to kayaking, to rock climbing. Everyone can get involved, but if you want to find them, you probably have to look up. The Outdoor Adventure Center isn't something you can really define. It's a culture built through experiences. Take a class with us. Go on a trip with us. We're open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Come move with us. Come adventure with us. You just have to experience it.
Welcome back to Andersen Sports Live. Another exciting week of college basketball is in the books, and with it comes the new men's basketball AP Top 25.
With every week drawing closer to the NCAA tournament, every game counts toward who's in and who's out. Though this week saw many exciting games, the poll didn't see too many changes, with the top four staying consistent from last week. Virginia State cemented at number 1 with Michigan State, Villanova, and Xavier rounding out the other 3 spots. A new team in the mix is Duke, with the Blue Devils jumping from number 12 to the 5th place spot. After falling out of the top 10 last week, Kansas also made its way back, coming in at number 8. Purdue and North Carolina round out the top teams at 9 and 10, respectively.
Now let's go and look at some highlights. Up in Ann Arbor, Michigan versus Ohio State. Here we are, the German Wagner getting his 10 fingers in the rim to give Michigan the edge early. Ohio State suffered a loss at Penn State before the trek to Ann Arbor and will head home on a 2-game losing streak. That crowd there really helping Michigan with that home court advantage. Michigan not backing down, nails the 3 from the side to put Michigan up 60-52. The crowd there super excited. Muhammad Ali Abdur-Rahman nails the 3. He's about to from downtown. Nicknamed The Rock because he's cool in high-pressure situation. Michigan pulls ahead with the win.
In South Carolina on Sunday night, Duke and Clemson squared off in the ACC slugfest. The winner of this would take sole possession of second place in the conference. Duke was playing without freshman phenom Marvin Bagley and Clemson without Shelton Mitchell, who's currently in concussion protocol. Well, we'll pick it up with 5 to go in the first quarter. Senior Grayson Allen cans a 3 from the Tiger Paw. The senior leader had 17 points in the first half alone. Then, with under 3 to play, Duke on top by 5, but Clemson trims the lead with a 3 from Gabe DeVoe, one of Clemson's only 5 threes of the day. 50 seconds left in the game, up by 3. Wendell Carter with a bucket and a foul. The Blue Devils go on to win 66-57.
Now we head to number 3 Villanova and number 4 Xavier in the Big East showdown. J.P. Markua with 15 points in the afternoon, nailing the 3 to put Xavier ahead. McCall Bridges throws it down, puts him on a poster with the pass from Jalen Brunson, quieting that Xavier crowd. With less than 8 till the half, Villanova pulls up behind the arc, leading by 10. And now it's the start of the second half. Trayvon Blutet shows Villanova Xavier is not going away. Villanova gets the win over their rival. McCall Bridges finishes the game with 25 points. Men's college basketball isn't the only sport looking toward the tournament play. On the women's side of things, the race is heating up as well. Let's send it to the round table to break down what to expect in the upcoming weeks.
It's us again at the round table, but don't look at the round table. Allie Snow, Kobe Becker. Let's talk some women's college hoop, guys.
Yeah, man.
Women's college basketball isn't like the men's where there's no clear dominant team. Last year, South Carolina defeated UConn in the Final Four and went on to win the tournament. So which is more likely to happen? UConn winning the national championship this year, or are you going to take the field?
I'm taking UConn. I mean, they got that championship pedigree, Gino Auriemma, probably the greatest coach in women's basketball history, maybe in sports history. I don't know. I mean, 1,017 and 135 record. 86% of his games he's won. It's crazy. They won 90 straight games a few years ago. They're 26-0 this year. They're beating teams by an average of 36 points per game. They won 11 titles, and they won 4 straight up until last year when South Carolina took them down in the Final Four. But, I mean, man, I can't pick against them. They're too dominant.
I'm going to have to play the field. I really like Mississippi State this year. They're undefeated. People forget about that. Had a win against UConn last year. Overall, I think they're great offensively, and I really think that they're going to surprise a lot of people. And people just tend to forget about them, but, I mean, they're 26-0, so.
They're a good team. They're a good team also.
I'm going to have to go with UConn. They're like the Warriors of the NBA. They
They're
want these 17-0 runs, outbursts, where it's like, where did the game go? It just got away from us. Like they showed it again. They showed it the other night against Louisville, where they're up. They started the game on a 19-0 run. Who does that?
That's crazy.
Who does that?
It's unheard of.
They just have too much firepower. All right, we have some great matchups tonight. A trio of ranked matchups. Starting first, number 9 Florida State at number 20 Duke. Allie, who do you have winning that game?
I'm going with Duke. I mean, once you go up against the Cameron Crazies, it's a different story over there. But I think the Lady Blue Devils are really going to use the home court advantage. They have only lost 1 game this year at home, so I think they're going to take that and use that. Also, Lexi Brown needs to have an A game. She's been in a slump these last few games, but I think if she's on top of things, home court advantage, Lady Blue Devils. So.
Okay. Allie has Duke winning. How about you, Kobe?
I got Florida State, man. I mean, they're a good rebounding team as a team, collective unit. They're plus 11 in rebounding margin. They score 83 points a game. They're a good scoring team. And Shaquilla Thomas is averaging 18 and 7. She's a solid player for them, and she also comes up late. A lot of her points get scored in the second half. She takes over late when her team needs her, and I think she'll be able to do it and handle Cameron Crazies at Duke.
I have Duke at home also with Allie. Our next matchup, number 3 Baylor going to Texas to take on 6th ranked Texas. Who do you have, Allie?
I have Baylor. I know the Longhorns are on a 7-game winning streak, but their last loss was to Baylor. And I think this game is going to be a battle for the boards. I mean, Baylor leads the nation in rebounding, and Texas is second. So overall, this is going to be a defensive matchup, but I think I see Baylor coming out on top of this one.
Yeah, I mean, I got Texas, but it's going to be a tight one. You know, they played.
It's going to be exciting.
Texas lost to Baylor the last time they played. I think they'll use some of that, and they're at home now. It'll help them. And Texas is a very well-balanced team. They have 4 players who score in double digits, and they don't have anybody who's scoring like 20 points a game. I think their leader was around 16, but they have 4 people who score in double digits and 5 people who average at least 2 assists per game. So, I mean, it's going to be a well-balanced game. Texas doesn't score a ton, but they outscore their opponents by quite a bit usually. So it'll be a tight one.
Well, that's going to do it for us here at the round table. Grace, Claire, take it away.
Thanks, Silas. You know, I say it every week, but I still cannot believe how close we are to NCAA tournament time.
It feels like the season just started, but I love March Madness, so I could not be happier that it's here.
I know, I'm super excited as well. And I mean, February's almost over, so it's right around the corner.
So. Oh, I'm ready for it to start. So we're going to head to a break, but when we come back, we're going to hear from our college football expert on the ins and outs of recruiting.
The historic Haymarket, a beautiful place just west of downtown Lincoln, home of the exciting Pinnacle Bank Arena and a rich history. The Haymarket's history starts shortly after Lincoln's founding, when Lincoln was a busy hub for trains filled with traders and merchants. But now, Lincoln has a new rail yard that's filled with people looking for food, drinks, or fun. The Haymarket is loaded with restaurants and fun for everyone. What are you waiting for? Go visit lincolnhaymarket.org/events to find out what's happening today.
East Campus is for students who want an education outside of the classroom. We have art, agriculture, fashion, food science, law, dentistry, and a lot of trees, all of which are housed just on the corner of 33rd and Holdridge. Grab an ice cream cone at our dairy store or take a stroll through our gardens while you're here. Want to make it legit? Visit us at casnr.unl.edu to reserve a tour soon.
A lot of high school students would ask, why should I go to UNL? Well, why did Johnny Carson, the Tonight Show fan, go to UNL? Why did multi-billionaire businessman Warren Buffett go to UNL? Why did people of such great fame and success go to UNL? Simple, because these are people that wanted to be successful. At the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, you too can begin your own success story. After all, if people like this can achieve national recognition and who came from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, then so can you.
Welcome back to Andersen Sports Live. With spring inching closer, March Madness is the hot topic in sports. But that's not the only thing right around the corner. Spring football will be here before we know it.
Soon the recruits from the most recent college football signing period will make their debut in spring ball. Today, our very own Jack Crumley is sitting down with Rivals.com contributor Sean Callahan to talk college football.
Thanks, guys. I'm Jack Crumley here with Sean Callahan, publisher of Rivals.com, and knowing everything about recruiting. He's going to help us out with the national landscape of recruiting with signing day coming up.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me on. It's great to be on, and been with Husker Online, Rivals.com, going on close to 15 plus years. So I tell people I get paid to be doing probably what I'd be doing anyway.
Yeah, awesome. So my first question for you: kids are starting to be recruited in middle school these days, which is just ridiculous. What would you say? Why has recruiting gotten sped up so much?
Well, I just think there's more ways now to access information and look at kids, and a lot of it's a publicity stunt. I really don't think any of these offers are committable offers, obviously, when a kid's that young. And I think if you study the history of the 4 or 5 or 6 times this has happened, a lot of those guys ended up becoming good players, but it's not the common practice. We just hear about the few times it has happened, and you'll see a Lane Kiffin or somebody like that likes to kind of grab the headlines, make an offer to a prospect at a very young age. But it definitely is not the norm because, as you know, I mean, there's so much development that goes on, even from your sophomore, junior, even to your junior and senior year, where if you're offering a 7th grader, I mean, it's just there's so many other variables still that you don't know as far as how a kid's going to mature and grow, and mentally as a guy ready to handle something like that at a young age, getting that type of attention, that type of a life-changing moment before they're even 14 years old.
Right. And so if a player does commit that young, they're more likely to decommit. And we already see decommitments as a big issue today. What would you say is kind of the key factor in so many players decommitting and then recommitting to schools?
A lot of kids feel the pressure to have to make a decision before they're ready for it. And I think bigger programs can offer a guy and say, look, we want you, but just so you know, this offer is only here for the next couple of weeks. If you don't make a decision, we're going to move on from you. So I think kids feel that pressure. But then as that year might move on, other teams come in and offer that guy, and they realize, you know what, I felt pressured in that decision. I wasn't really ready, but they kind of pressured me into doing it. So then they kind of look at things over. They get more leverage by getting more offers. But, some coaches might say, hey, we don't want you, if you do this, you're done. Like Iowa is in a program like that. If you look at another program committed to Iowa, Kirk Ferentz will drop you right away. They just kind of move on from you. Other programs will kind of let it string along. But, typically, I think kids that do that maybe feel pressured to make a quick decision, and then they realize that they still want to enjoy the process. And very few kids get the opportunity to go through the visit process. So the few that can do it want to do it. And kids in the state of Nebraska really don't even get that opportunity because most of the time if Nebraska offers you, you almost feel obligated that you have to commit to Nebraska, and then you can't go anywhere else and take official visits. Now, Cameron Jurgens, who's come in this year, he was able to take an official to LSU because of the coaching change with Mike Riley after the fact, but very rarely do you see a Nebraska kid in this state even get the chance to take another official visit if Nebraska is involved in the recruiting process.
Yeah, do you think there should be any restrictions on how many times a kid can commit and decommit from a school, kind of like what Iowa employs?
I don't think so, because what happens if there's a coaching change? What if there's an assistant coach that moves on, or just something at that program where they told you we're only going to take one running back and then they take 3 running backs? Then all of a sudden you can change your mind. And it's a non-binding verbal commitment. It's not in writing. Once you sign that letter, obviously that's when you're locked in. But the fact that it's a verbal commitment, I just don't see any way the NCAA could make that be honored because of the letter of intent and how the process works.
Yeah, something new this year is the early signing period. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think initially there were a lot of coaches that didn't like it because it put so much pressure on December to get things done. But after December 20th came and went, a lot of coaches really liked it. They're like, wow, when they go out in January now to recruit this year, when they did, they're like, I can actually go out and relax. I don't need to go out and babysit my other 18 guys anymore. Where before, say you had 18 guys that signed on December 20th, before those 18 guys wouldn't sign until February 7th, you would have to go out every single week and conduct some form of an in-home visit with all 18 of those guys, plus look for new guys for the next year and maybe try to find a few more guys for your class. Now that they're all signed, you don't have to worry about seeing those guys. And it allows coaching staffs to do what Nebraska did this year, where they could do what's called a swarm visit, where 6 or 7 or even 8 coaches go into an in-home and visit one guy. So I think a lot of the coaches enjoyed it because they're able to get ahead of the process more because they're not really trying to babysit their guys, worried about another school maybe trying to poach one of their commits at the last minute.
That's all I got for you, Sean. Thanks for your time. I'll throw it back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Jack. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today here on Andersen Sports Live. I'm Claire Magsman.
And I'm Grace Harmon. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.